good thing.
As the lead runners make their way out to Iron Pot Ridge, those further back in the field continue to head down the Taros ladders. While these guys might not be vying for the win, for many of them it's about setting a personal best for the course, completing the race within a goal time, or simply enjoying an amazing day-long challenge. Speaking of challenges, the dizzying heights and gnarly descents test even the most experienced runners out there. Back in the 50-kilometre race, and competitors were now making their way along the cliff tops. Mark Green had overcome a fast start by Vlad Shatrov to take the lead, and nearing the 14-kilometre point, he had a 30-second gap. In third place was Benjamin Blackshaw, some 5 minutes behind the race leader. At the head of the women's field was seasoned campaigner Hanny Alston, who had established a significant lead over Sophie Brown in second place. At this point, our 100-kilometre leaders are heading for Iron Pot Ridge. Mario Mendoza had skipped away, taking everyone by surprise and establishing a several-minute lead. Behind him was a group of 4, including Jono, Pau, and the runner-up in 2015, Scott Hawker. Following a minute later was Yun, who last year placed third. Experience on the course goes a long way, and he was still well in contention for the win. Next through was the winner of the 50-kilometre race in 2015, Andrius Ramonas from Lithuania. His smile suggested he had plenty left in the tank. It's now that we first saw Ben Duffus make an appearance towards the front of the field. A conservative start meant he had a lot of work to do if he wanted to figure on the podium. Leading the women's field at the 34-kilometre point was Jill Fowler, who seemed surprised to be in that position. However, hot on her heels was the diminutive figure of Beth Cardelli. Don't let her tiny frame fool you. Beth is one of the toughest competitors you'll come across, and a master tactician too. A minute or so later, Amy Lamprecht followed, and like those before her, looked cool, calm and collected. Next up was Fiona Hayvice and Kelly Emerson. This trio was separated by the tiniest of margins, and it was inevitable a battle for podium places would ensue. Reaching the 46-kilometre mark and the 6-foot track checkpoint first was our runaway leader, Mario. He was moving extremely well, possibly too quickly, and was in and out of the checkpoint without another runner in sight. His fast early pace was on par with the race record set in 2015. However, this year the weather was warmer and the dreaded giant staircase was back in the course. More than half the race distance still remained, and it's this section that's arguably the most difficult of all. Ahead were some of the most testing climbs, with plenty of stairs and descending to add into the mix too. Our 50-kilometre runners were starting to arrive at the Queen Victoria Hospital. By now, Mark Green had established a seemingly unassailable lead, and even with 22 kilometres to go, it was hard to see anyone coming from behind to challenge him. As more runners came through, it became clear that second and third places were still far from decided. Now it would be a case of who had the legs left to endure the pounding 8-kilometre run down the Kadumba Pass, and then the strength to climb back to Scenic World and the finish. Like Mark, Hanny had an unassailable lead, and all she needed to do was maintain a good rhythm to secure the win. Looking strong in second place was Sophie Brown, with Mel Newton next through. This would be the last time we see the 50 kilometre runners until the end of the race.